Hi, I'm Elle Ingalls, creator and founder of the Pressure Free Method. I'm happy to be here to present this book to you, but before I begin, I want to share where I am. So I am in a home designed by Ulrich Frentzen for the former CEO and chair of Philip Morris Company, George Weissman, and his family. The Weissman family owned a colonial in Rye, New York, which was demolished to make way for the New York Thruway. When that happened, he sought out a young architect, Ulrich Frentzen, to design a home for their family. This is that home. And Weissman lived here until his death at age 90. So had a nice long time here. This was the 1956 Home of the Year. I just want to share a picture of Frentzen here. So this is the designer of this home. And I find it so appropriate that I am filming this recording of this book in the home of such an amazing CEO. Whatever your politics are, whatever you thought about or think about the Philip Morris Company, Weissman was certainly someone worth learning about. He was the creator with another colleague of the Marlboro Man. He also created Miller Lite beer. Having a light beer in the US was brand new. He brought that concept over when he was in Germany once. Like, there's just great stories about Weissman. And he lived to be 90. And I wish I could interview and talk to some people about how that was possible, since he considered himself to be the actual Marlboro Man. So let me set this book down and we'll get started here. The Pressure-Free CEO. Introduction. What your physician doesn't know about stress could kill you. Your father's had a heart attack, my mother said over the phone that day. I went instantly numb, not realizing until the end of the call that I had twisted the phone cord around and around my fingers. At the time, my father was in his early 60s, about my age, and was the CEO of a bank. Athletic in his youth, by his mid-30s, his sedentary job and the pressures inherent in working his way up the ladder led to excess weight, type 2 diabetes, and high blood pressure. Dad followed his physician's advice to relax in the evenings and weekends and to make healthier choices, and as his doctor started prescribing various medications, he took them. He thought he was doing everything right. He survived that first heart attack, that wake-up call, but 10 years later, Mom's breast cancer came back, right when Dad's retirement began. It was a long 6 months of doing everything he could for her, but in the end, he watched helplessly and was at her side when she took her last breath. 3 months after her death, he passed away of his second heart attack in bed at the age of 72. A broken heart, everyone said. And yes, she was the love of his life, but it was the stress of his life that played the most major role in causing his diseases. Disease is born in a toxic environment, a lack of homeostasis. Toxicity is born in chronic inflammation, and chronic inflammation is caused by an excess release of stress hormones. It is these hormones that cause or exacerbate all chronic mental and physical disease. Here's why I've written this book. First of all, to honor my parents, whom I believe might still be alive today if I could have shared my solution to stress hormone release with them in time for them to prevent the diseases they succumb to. Secondly, my 3 sons own their own company, Ingalls Pictures. My husband owns his own business, and I own mine. Hence, we are all in CEO positions, creating and building organizations. And thirdly, you. I know that the information you hear from health providers and the media when it comes to reducing stress is similar to what my father was told. Exercise, eat well, take time off, slow down, do yoga, pray or meditate, breathe, engage in self-care. All nice, but who has time for all of that? And it doesn't solve the deeper issue. No one shows CEOs how to be an effective CEO and reduce stress at the same time. I do. That's why I felt overwhelmingly compelled to write this book. Like my father, I have spent my career in leadership roles. Violinist and orchestra conductor trained by many of the greats like Leonard Bernstein and Eugene Fodor, executive director of a symphony, co-founder of a music school, financial consultant to nonprofits, and CEO of my own company. And like him, I thought that if I worked hard and had a stressful week but ate right, exercised, and meditated daily, took time off to relax, then I was properly taking care of my stress. How wrong both he and I were. That is not how stress works. 5 years after my parents died, my sons asked me to share my mental performance tips with their baseball team. These tips then formed the backbone of a simple 3-step method that I shared with the boys, their coaches, and others who heard about what I was doing and wanted to be my clients. Initially, I thought I was a calm, cool professional who didn't need my method. But as I began coaching and researching the stress response, I realized it wasn't enough to be calm before the big events. If you trigger the stress response at any time in your day, it is going to affect you for hours. So I refined my method and started using it on myself all moments of the day. I had my breakthrough in about 8 weeks because that is when I noticed that I had eliminated chronic disease in my own body and reduced behaviors that I thought were simply a part of my personality and were negatively impacting my leadership. Those personality traits were traits reflecting my brain-on stress hormones, much like that public service announcement launched in 1987. This is your brain on drugs with an egg in a hot frying pan. It became clear to me that the only way to not experience stress-induced underperformance and stress-induced disease was to prevent triggering the stress response all day long. That is the basis of my pressure-free method, and it is something every CEO and aspiring leader can benefit from in numerous ways. But first, let's reflect for a moment on the fact that stress-based disease has taken some of the world's best and brightest leaders too soon. These leaders had the resources to tap into any solutions, traditional or alternative, and often did, to keep themselves healthy. Ranjan Das with SAP. Barbara Erickson with the Trustees. Both of them were aged 42. Charlie Bell with McDonald's, age 44. Charles Betty with Earthlink, age 49. Paul Raines with GameStop, aged 53. Satoru Iwata with Nintendo, aged 55. Steve Jobs with Apple, age 56. Gordon Teeter with Wendy's, also age 56. Jerry Junkins with Texas Instruments, age 58. Pierre Nanterme with Accenture, age 59. James Catalupo with McDonald's, age 60. Bernard Tyson with Kaiser Permanente, age 60. Bruce Wasserstein, investment banker and lawyer, age 61. Arne Sorensen with Marriott International, age 62. Jay Nakargati with Sigma Aldrich, age 63. I think about the incredible loss of these individuals and so many more that I haven't listed here who have died of heart disease or cancer, the result of which is the relentless release of stress hormones. And then there is the loss from suicide. Here are some more notable leaders who have died from suicide. Ilya Zhytomyrsky, founder of Diaspora, age 22. Autumn Radke, CEO of First Meta, age 28. Austin Heinz, CEO of Cambrian Genomics, aged 31. Karsten Schloter with Swisscom, age 49. Stephen Good, CEO, Chicago real estate mogul, age 52. Pierre Wautier, CFO of Zurich Insurance Group, age 53. Eric Holtz, co-founder of Seaman Holtz, age 54. Kate Spade, founder of Kate Spade New York, age 55. Jeffrey Parker, CEO of Marta, age 55. James McDonald, CEO of Rockefeller and Company, age 56. And Bruce Roble, CEO of Sith Global Power, LLC, also age 56. Lowell Hawthorne, CEO of Golden Crust, age 57. Anthony Bourdain, celebrity chef, age 61. Kent Taylor, CEO of Texas Roadhouse, age 65. The youngest leaders on this list were involved in startups. Autumn Radke, age 28, was with a Bitcoin company. Ilya Zhytomyrsky, age 22, was committed to privacy and working on an alternative to Facebook. And Austin Heinz, age 31, founder and CEO of a biotech company working on laser-based technique to synthesize DNA, struggled with social anxiety and how the media portrayed him. A study in 2015 by Dr. Michael Freeman, an entrepreneur and clinical professor at University of California, San Francisco, was one of the first of its kind to link higher rates of mental health issues to entrepreneurship. Here are some of the findings. Of the 242 entrepreneurs surveyed, 49% reported having a mental health condition. Depression was the number one reported condition among them and was present in 30% of all entrepreneurs, followed by ADHD, 29%, and anxiety problems, 27%. That's a much higher percentage than the US population at large, where only about 7% identify as depressed. More surprising was the incidence of mental health in the families of entrepreneurs. 72% said they either had mental health problems themselves or in their immediate family. With all of these leaders, I think about their loss to their families, their organizations, the charities they supported, and the world as a whole. I wonder about the fantastic minds they must have all possessed to be at the pinnacle of their particular fields. Stress is called the silent killer, but it really isn't. The release of stress hormones is the true silent killer. And it doesn't just cause heart attacks. It creates an acidic body for cancers and bacteria to thrive in. It directly causes or exacerbates all chronic mental and physical disease. It kills relationships, and it kills great ideas. It kills business deals and the ability to perform mentally and physically. A little online search brings up headlines like these. Why being a CEO should come with a health warning. Is mental illness among CEOs a trait or an outcome? Chief executives at risk of heart attack. Stressed business leaders under the cosh are often at the age when they are at greater risk of heart attack. Job stress takes a heavy toll on CEO lifespan, study finds. Are you secretly under the cosh, which means overwhelmed with difficult situations at home or at work? One CEO I was coaching said that everyone thought he was calm and in control, but on the inside, he felt so out of control that he was experiencing a 24/7 controlled burn. It doesn't need to be that way for you, and I am on a mission to help you prevent the stress response from harming you. Do you work hard, deal with stressful issues and situations? Do you have personal stressors affecting your life? Are you secretly worried about your performance from the boardroom to the bedroom? Do you know deep down that stress is affecting you, but you say to yourself that it comes with the job and you cannot possibly slow down or take time off? Has your physician or loved one said any of the following to you? You need to take time off. You need to manage your stress better. You'd better slow down the pace. We've got to get this blood pressure and cholesterol number under control. You know you're not just overweight, you're obese. If you've heard something along these lines, what is your response? Have you denied it? Have you laughed? Have you told them to mind their own business? Does it make you angry? Or perhaps even sad because you feel like it's simply out of your control? Truth. You do not need to slow down or take time off to de-stress, and anyone who tells you that is missing a true understanding of the science of the stress response. Truth. That perfect diet and all the exercise and meditation you could possibly fit in your schedule won't make much of a difference if you don't have tools to control your stress response from moment to moment. Truth. Stress isn't the problem. The release of stress hormones is. It is the root cause of all chronic mental and physical disease, poor behavior, and underperformance. These are just 3 truths based on the biology and the physiology of the stress response that are not common wisdom. In addition to the thousands of business professionals and high-achieving students I've worked with, I've also coached physicians and mental health specialists, and not a single one of them knew the level of detail about the stress response that I present in this book. When I started experimenting with the concept of breaking the stress cycle by preventing stress hormone release, my family and my clients started experiencing benefits I didn't know were even possible. Chronic diseases abated, cognitive function improved, athletes improved their performance. People who had experienced months, even years, of anxiety or depression feel relief and feel empowered that they can prevent future anxiety. I believe that if I could have shared this method with my parents, they would have lived longer, healthier lives. I don't get the chance to help them, but I do get the chance to help you. I believe that the world needs you. We need your leadership, your expertise, your brain power. I want you to have this knowledge that can significantly change the trajectory of your life, a method you can use that allows you to lead without the fear of the wake-up call looming over you, provides your loved ones with peace of mind that you are taking care of yourself, permits you to live to your full potential with health and deep fulfillment, creates a ripple effect of calm, confident, purposeful leadership that resonates throughout your organization and your home. Whether you are fairly calm or a hot mess of stress, the pressure-free method can benefit you, your organization, your family, and everyone you influence. Chapter 1, actually Part 1, the work pressures of a CEO. Chapter 1, performance pressures and the cardiovascular side effects. How to reduce performance anxiety and stop stress hormones from storing fat in your arteries and abdomen. My father was athletic in his youth, lean, strong, and apparently, according to his senior yearbook, extremely popular and well-liked. Over the decades, I watched his health deteriorate. High blood pressure, diabetes, weight gain, with each promotion at the bank and the added responsibilities that came with them, until in his 60s he had his first heart attack. He was fortunate that he survived it to live a few more years, but the second one took his life just after he retired at only 72. When I ask executives what their secret stressors are, 9 out of 10 mention heart health. They've been prescribed medications for high blood pressure or beta blockers for anxiety, and they are also secretly ashamed of their bodies. Too much fat on their abdomen, even on leaders who work out and eat fairly well. It's easy to say diet and exercise is what is needed, but that in many cases is not the root cause of weight gain. It's not so much what you eat or do for exercise, it's the constant release of stress hormones that causes chronic cardiovascular problems and weight gain. When the stress response is triggered, fat and glucose is mobilized from your cells into your bloodstream for immediate energy to fight or flee. It also deposits fat on certain parts of your body, especially in your arteries, on your torso, and in the center of your upper back above your shoulder blades. You maximize these fat stores in case you are unable to get to food because of having to protect yourself from the stressor. This is followed by an expansion of the fat cells when the second flood of hormones, cortisol and glucose, goes out. These hormones go out to help your cells return to homeostasis. But the side effects of these stress hormones as they relate to cardiovascular health are why even people who work out and eat well still have trouble losing fat and even continue to gain it. Here are the effects of excess stress hormones that specifically affect your heart and weight. Fat and glucose is pulled from the cells in your extremities, your brain, your liver, and your heart, mobilized for energy, weakening your neurons and your organs. The fat that isn't used lines your arteries and centers on your torso and in the fatty hump in the upper center of your back, above your shoulder blades, known as the dowager's hump. Your digestive processing slows down or stops, which causes food you've eaten to turn to fat. Your thyroid gland, which controls your metabolic processes, is affected, compounding the amount of fat you store. The second flood of hormones, glucocorticoids, causes your fat cells to expand. The simple reason for all of this is that if you were truly under attack and couldn't get to food for days, your fat stores will help you stay alive. Hopefully, you are not under physical attack, but are instead experiencing a myriad of situations that are causing you to trigger the stress response. Those situations can include pressure from your board of trustees, pressure from other C-suite team members, revenue issues, tax issues, talent issues, in addition to personal issues. One of the most common complaints is actually more subtle. All eyes are on you at all times. As a CEO or business owner, you are in essence a performer, a high-level performer shouldering extreme responsibility with many people looking to you for leadership. You are also often criticized for your performance, the things you say or do, and have perhaps as many detractors as followers. When I was training to become an orchestral conductor under the tutelage of Gustav Meyer at the University of Michigan in Tanglewood, one of the first things he would say to us is, "If you want to be liked, there's the door." Orchestra members are a tough crowd to please. The moment you take the podium, they size you up in seconds and decide if they like you or not, if they trust your musicality or think you're not worthy of standing before you. It's the same for you when you stand in front of your teams, whether it's a handful of staff, thousands at a company conference, or giving your speech to your shareholders. You're expected to lead well, no matter what. Since not everybody will like you, if you want to be liked, here's the door. The trick to managing your own internal expectations is to understand that at times you will be disliked, you will feel pressure performing, and it's in those moments you can incorporate this pressure-free method and prevent a stress response in you. Here's what you need to do in order to break the cycle of stress hormones that is affecting your ability to perform at your best and causing you to experience negative health outcomes. 3 simple steps. Step 1, targets. Write down exactly what you want. For example, a long, healthy life, a healthy heart, less need for medications, a trim physique, more powerful stage presence. Secondly, triggers. List out what causes you to feel tension anywhere in your body, what causes you to get sweaty palms or butterflies in your stomach. Notice what causes you to feel angry, anxious, annoyed, or ashamed. These are your potential triggers that will cause the stress response to release floods of hormones into your bloodstream. And the third step are tools and the 10-second solution. The moment you notice any of your potential triggers, you have 10 seconds to use a pressure-free tool and prevent hormone release. In each chapter, I will share some of the tools I teach my clients, and in the appendix will be a full list of tools for you. Here are your first 4. First, take your hands and relax your abs. Put your hands on your belly and relax your abdominal muscles. Slide your hands lower and relax your lowest abdominal muscles too. This instantly communicates to your brain that you are not under attack because your abs serve as body armor to protect that part of your body. Posture. Widen and lift your rib cage. Expand your ribs wide and open. Do not pull your shoulders back. I learned this from my body coach, Leela Veronica. Then lift your ribs up away from your hips. This counteracts the tendency to coil and protect in fight or flight, again informing your brain that you are in control and do not need to release stress hormones. Smile. A smile, or just the corners of your mouth turning up, will release the neuropeptides you need to keep your neurotransmitters doing their job so that you can think more clearly, have access to memory, and can make decisions and execute your willpower. Lastly, slow your breathing. By slowing your breathing rate, you can lower your heart rate. Lowering your heart rate prevents stress hormone release. The key is to notice the tension or situation right away. You can start experiencing success with just these 4 tools. The key is the 10-second window. You have decades, even generations of habits of reaction to break. So be patient with yourself as you start to become aware of the ways you trigger the stress response. Before creating this method, I had no idea I was even stressed. I considered myself to be a highly competent, type A driven professional. Perhaps I was even an adrenaline junkie. Most of my clients begin to experience breakthroughs at around 6 weeks, although some do in just a few days. For me, it was at 8 weeks when I went my first full day without triggering the stress response. I'm still a driven high achiever, but by living pressure-free, I am performing at even higher levels, and at the same time, I am no longer constantly endangering my health and well-being. You get to do this too. Oh, no.